Welcome back, Barstools and Bandtalkers. We get a big surprise for you here tonight. I'm going to take a second just to say hi and thank you so much for everything that we've accomplished so far. We hit the 800 mark today, getting close to 900 now. I guess I don't have to do any more crazy songs. This is a gentleman that we're talking to tonight, Leith Fleming-Smith. He's played with Sean at the Frequency. He's played with Matt Mays, a bunch of different guys. He's going to really tie in what the new generation, the new industry is providing here in the music scene. This is why Sean and I work so well together. He's more tied into the new. I'm more tied back to the old. But we've been best friends for a long, long time, and Sean and I are just having a blast doing this. So, Sean, tell us a little bit about Leith.
Well, you guys will see after the no finer human being, and he's probably laughing his head off. But every time you bring Leith's name up, anybody I've brought his name up to is the same thing. Oh my God, I love Leith. He's just a great person, great musician. He and I we'll get into some of the fun stuff here in a couple minutes, but you're going to see this guy. I mean, he's not only playing with the Frequency, he's playing with everybody right now, and he'll probably go into the fact that he was actually supposed to be overseas the last couple weeks. So, but anyway, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my good buddy, Leith Fleming-Smith.
All right. Come on down, Leith. He has to go from the green room to our studio, and it's a long walk. There he is.
Hey.
There he is, my man. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, good, thanks. How about yourself?
Good. Well, you know, I talked to you Sunday night. We had our Sunday night Frequency chit-chat, which was really fun. So the first thing I did the intro there, Leith, that I wanted to touch on, you were telling us there last week, you were supposed to be away playing. Why don't you tell some folks about what you were supposed to be doing?
Well, I had a couple different things. I had, like, right from the get-go, at the mid-March, you know, when everything started to go south, the end of March, I was supposed to be doing a festival gig in Germany with Aaron Costello, and that was, you know, that got ixnayed pretty quick. But I had tour runs through the summer, you know, with, like, Adam Baldwin, and I had some Matt Mays gigs, and Aaron had a tour as well, a maritime tour, and it all's gone south. And you know, it's quite a letdown because you get pumped up and ready to go for the fun, but and then all to be swept out from under you. But the thing that for me is, like, I'm optimistic that a lot of the stuff will get pushed and rescheduled.
Sure.
Some of the stuff's already been rescheduled, which is great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, last time that I saw you face to face, we were actually getting ready to go to play St. Patty's Day at one of our favorite places, Dolan's, and we were going to leave on your birthday. And the plan was we were going to go up early, we were going to set up, have some fun with Barry and the gang.
Yeah.
We got the afternoon, but we went over to Kyle's and we had a little bit of fun on your birthday. But that's the last time I saw you in person. So your birthday?
Yeah, exactly.
What day is your birthday?
March 16th.
So there you go. So that's how.
Happy belated birthday to you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the stuff. Give us the roster, everybody that you play with, because you're a busy guy. I know with the Frequency, you kind of drop in whenever you're free, and you kind of have the doors open. So if you're available, you're there, type thing. But who else?
Drop some names, brother. Drop some names.
Well, okay. Well, like Mays and Adam Baldwin, like Matt Mays and Adam Baldwin are two big, like, two of the rock and roll groups that I love going on the road with and playing with, and they're all my best friends too, all the guys. So it's, you know, same with the Frequency.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very lucky to be in bands with all my friends. But and then Erin Costello, she's a soul R&B roots songwriter, great keyboard player, vocalist. And I've been doing a lot of touring with her in the last couple of years. And then around town, I play, you know, I do the 80s tribute thing with Maximum Overdrive, which is a lot of fun.
You guys you got to check that out. It's quick.
It's a blast. But and then the Wicked Deadlies, which is like a 50s and 60s rock and roll blues offshoot of kind of, well, it's kind of two levels of an offshoot, because there's a band called the Gnarl Tones, which is a good chunk of Matt's band, and then from that a good chunk of that band is the Wicked Deadlies. So that's the way though. You always end up in this scene, at least, a couple different groups with the same people because it's who you enjoy playing with.
And we talked about that last night with Maurice and a couple times with Jackie too, and even with Marnie. It's so different than from in our day, Sean and I day. You had a band and that was it. You were on the road constant, but it's like there's not enough work or something's different now that you have to kind of have a number of different groups now. Is that how it works, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like that really, for me, I started gigging around 2013. It was like partway through 2013 was when I kind of started getting into the groove of things. And it really is unfortunate to be able to have a balance because for me to make a living at it, which I'm thankfully able to, well, before all this, but, I have a lot of understanding people that allow me the freedom to be able to balance all these groups. It's like, for instance, like one of the first steady gigs I had was playing with Joe Murphy and the Water Street Blues Band, and those guys have been doing it for forever. And Joe is always nice about, like, every week, I'd give him a call. It's like, if I'm free that week, I'll go down and gig. If I'm away, that's fine. So it really, like, if I had to absolutely be at every gig of a band, I wouldn't be able to have as many groups that I'm playing with, but it's really, I don't know. It's good to be able to have discussions with people to figure out that balance.
I think there's a reason for that though, Leith. Obviously you're a great musician, love playing with you, but the other thing too is you're not a dick. You're so, right. No, it's straight up. But I mean, there's a lot of people where, hey, I'll put up because they're good musicians, but it's like, like with us, for example, it's always like, okay, with, if Leith's available, he's there. If you're not, we understand. But you know what I mean? And I think that's a huge part of it because you're such an easy guy to get along with.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, you know what? I definitely, I always just try to be the best I can be and make everything as smooth and as professional as can be. And that all comes down to being able to have all these different groups on the go.
That's
and
awesome.
And getting back to I know I go off on tangents a lot, but like the fact, one group versus several, there definitely seems to be, for me, I mean, I wasn't around back when it was like that, but for me now, like myself and my friends who are people who are really busy music wise, it seems you have to be in several bands to just keep things busy. And I don't know, it's like, for me, it's fine because variety is the spice of life. It's like, I'm very grateful and thankful that I have all these different groups to play with because, like, for instance, Maze versus Aaron, rock and roll and soul R&B. And Joe, like the blues thing, it's just, it keeps me fresh.
I must say something about you too, Leith, because you must be versatile. I've only seen you play a couple of times. I met you once playing with Sean at the Frequency, and I thought you were an amazing musician.
Oh,
but you've got to be that versatile to be able to play that many genres too. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Well,
styles.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's definitely, for me, I started out like in junior high and high school. I did a lot of jazz, and that gave me techniques that I can apply to almost anything,
Right.
The improvisational aspect of it. So it really, that made it, the blues, funk, rock and roll, holy trinity. It all just kind of, they're all kind of alternate viewpoints on similar, approaches. I'm not wording it very well, but just like, for me, it's never seemed like a chore to kind of hop between these genres because I'm always playing the way I play.
Right on.
Just doing different kinds of gigs. Like, actually, one one thing I should mention, there was a band that until this all happened, I was playing with every Thursday at the local, which was the 6 Star Review. And that was a kind of jazz R&B or a jazz funk instrumental gig,
Okay.
with horns and stuff like that. So, and then, then you go out with Maze and there's stacks of amps and guitars everywhere. So for me, it really has, I don't know, it's never seemed abnormal. Like, it's always just been a part of what's happening for me. My career has always been that mismatch of things. So it's just what I'm used to and what I love doing.
I was texting with one of your bandmates today, and see if you can guess who it is. Oh man, you're gonna have Leith on tonight?
I have a feeling that might have been Ryan Boudreau.
Ryan Boudreau, yeah. Say hi to Leith. It's funny, and Dave, you wouldn't know the story, but our viewers would probably love it. So I always say Leith's the guy that was born in the wrong generation, and I found it out in a weird way. So when the Frequency goes on the road, we get to the venue, we set up, we go back, everybody kind of rests. As soon as when the weekend starts, when the iLoud comes on and Kyle starts banging the tunes out, we go, we have a few drinks, we go and we play. Leith, out of the blue, one night where he got on the DJ and he puts on "Take Me Away" by Blue Oyster Cult, and I was like, "Holy crap, man, this is awesome!" So one of my favorite things, especially the last 8 weeks, I'll be on the couch at like 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and my phone will go ding, and I'll open it up, and it'll be some video link from Leith that's like Rainbow or The Final Countdown by Europe, or Purple, or so.
Dawkins.
A bunch of stuff, Leith, but I mean, who are some of the guys that you really? And I think I know the answer, but I've never asked you. So who are some of the guys that you really love to listen to? And
Well, it's right now, I definitely like the 80s hard rock stuff is what I listen to on a day-by-day basis. But the stuff, like when I first started listening to rock and roll, like I was 6 years old, and it was Deep Purple and the Edgar Winter Group, and like T-Rex, the Kinks, because I grew up. My dad is in his late 60s, and he had that. Mom and him had that music kicking around.
Right.
So I grew up listening to 50s and 60s and 70s stuff, but I kind of found the 80s on my own because that's when they stopped listening to music.
Okay.
So like the Crew, Doc, and like all the fun 80s stuff for me it's great because you can kind of dance to it too. It's just fun music.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also used to listen to a lot of like Herbie Hancock, getting in the funky stuff, and Jan Hammer especially, because he proved, like, him and John Lord were two guys that showed keyboards can be distorted like crazy and be a lot of fun.
Well, and that whole top 10 albums in 10 days is going around. I'm glad you got picked because obviously some of the ones you picked have been really, like some of them I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then a couple of ones you kind of threw out, like the Uriah Heep one. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Bam. Right?
Oh, man, that's like Ken Hensley is right up there with John Lord in my books.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So if you don't mind me asking, Leith, how old are you?
I'm 27.
And to have a love for that music at your age is really cool. Sean was saying, like, he's like an old soul, man. He was born in the wrong generation. But to love that stuff at your age is pretty cool. And to find it on your own, right?
Oh, thanks, man. Well, it's, you know what it was actually that enabled it all to happen is when I was in, I'm dating myself a little bit, but when I was in grade 7, YouTube became.
Freeze.
So, I would search suggestion bar, would have all sorts of other great stuff. So that's how I found out, about, all the heavy metal bands and like a lot of the new wave stuff, like the Human League and stuff like that. And the internet really was a wealth of knowledge for me about all the different eras of music and stuff like that, and you can just get sucked into the wormhole too, like stay up all night checking out tunes.
Well, and Leith, not to one up you, but when Dave and I were in grade 7, the big thing was a remote that didn't have a cord on the end of it. So good for you, bud. So, with all the different stuff, how often do you play with Matt? I know, I know that, you play with him and Adam quite a bit, but how often do you play with Matt and Adam?
Well, it's so Adam I play with a fair bit because he also is in the gnarl tones. So even if we're not doing his original music on the road or something, we're playing covers at Barely's, and that's a blast. But with Maze, it's pretty, it's every now and then. Like we just, except for a tour, like we had a big tour in the last fall, which was a month, and that was the longest tour I'd been on with him.
Where'd you go on that tour?
Across Canada. Yeah, we started on Vancouver Island and worked our way east. But it was a blast. But other than a tour like that, we usually just do like some festival gigs, and that was the plan for this summer. We had the Calgary Stampede lined up, but with Maze, the big shows of the year are always the Shore Club shows in Hubbard's.
Right.
He'll do like 3 or 4 nights there. And I actually heard his first gig there from across the harbor when I was 12. It was so loud. I could hear it.
I remember going back probably 3 years ago, I saw Matt with Adam at the Banook Canoe Club.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It was a cool show. And Matt freaks me out. I've told Dave this before, because every time we're at the alehouse, when he jumps up, he loves Kyle's rig. He always talks about Kyle's rig. I've never seen a guy just get up on stage, put the guitar on, and just crank the amp to 10, and 1, 2, 3, go. It's the friggin' funniest thing.
Oh, man. He's got this raw rock and roll, very much just caution to the wind, crank it up, giver. And it's like, that's for him, I think one of the reasons he's been so successful is because he just goes for whatever he wants to do, whether it's on a stage or off,
So I want to throw you for a little loop here. So we were doing Dolan's, it was a while ago, and later on that week, you get asked to go to the NAMM show.
Oh, yeah.
And you had some great stories about that, but tell us how that came about and what happened down there, because what you told me was just really cool. And I remember you sending me a text from you were going to this award show, and you said, "Hey, guess who I'm going to see?" And so just tell everybody about that, because that was pretty cool.
Oh, man. Well, Maze put me in touch with a guy named Matthew Ang, who runs a studio in Toronto, which Matt had recorded at. But Matthew was doing marketing for a company called Tone, which is what it is it's a microtonal MIDI controller. So Matthew Angus asked if I'd want to come to Toronto and do some demoing of it. So I ended up doing that and had a lot of fun. And then it was during the tour with Maze that I got a message from him about asking to go to NAMM. And I was like, "Are you kidding?" So, I always dreamed of going there. I never thought I'd be going with the company. And so I ended up down there, and it was just such an experience, met all sorts of different people, had great chats. But yeah, the awards show was really neat. Peter Hedrickson was down there, and he came by the booth, and he was like, "Man, I've got a spare ticket for this awards thing tonight, if you want to come with me." And it was unreal. It was for all the production awards. And like Carmine Apice was one of the presenters. Garth Brooks was one of the presenters. Wow. It was such a cool event. And I just kind of I was definitely a fish out of water. It's like I was looking like Pearl Jam's monitor engineer was 2 meters from me. Queen's production manager was one table over. The Rolling Stones production manager was another table over. It's like, it was really a who's who. And it was just a fun experience, you know. It really made, and it was the first time I'd been to California too.
Right on.
So it really was just like,
see a whole lot when you were out there, though, did you?
you know what? We were in Orange County, and so you know, we didn't have much of a chance to go into actual like LA, but on the last night before we left, we decided, screw it, we'll just stay on the coast. So we went to Venice Beach, found a patio, and had a nice hang.
Nice.
It was just such a great experience too. Like, we almost actually like, we had a bunch of people interested in the product too. Like Stevie Wonder's people came by, and they said Stevie's keen. Stevie was actually supposed to come by, but he'd had I think a knee transplant, so he basically poked his head upstairs for a minute and then headed out. But it was just a really cool experience because I'm used to doing things from the playing side. I've never been like a salesperson or whatever, you know. So it was a lot of fun to just have fun demonstrating and talking and interacting. It was a different side of the music thing.
You're in a booth and more or less you're doing the demo and kind of pitching the product and then that type of thing.
Yeah, we had kind of a crew, a small crew of people, and yeah, like different people would come by. Like Barry Gibbs, musical director, came by. A couple people. Oh my God, my memory's blanking. What's Dream Theater's keyboard player?
Who you're talking about? The bald fellow with the big goatee.
Jordan Rudess. Yeah.
Yeah.
His keyboard tech came by, and he was like, Jordan's really keen on this. So it's good for the company that there's been a lot of interest. And I was actually talking to the guys recently, and they're still kind of pushing ahead through this.
And what's that product?
I'm having little delays here from time to time, folks. So if you see this pausing, it'll work itself out here.
You can set it up any way you want. It doesn't have to be microtonal. You can play it in any direction. You can really make it. You can set it up however you want. But I was still able to sit, and the keys are hexagonal, so it's like a honeycomb. But I was still able to groove and do a funk jam on it. So it's like you can still play it like a conventional instrument.
Right on.
What's your primary board then?
Pardon?
What's your main board that you play?
It really, like, I have too many keyboards. I have somewhere around 35, I think.
All right.
But like, I've got stuff from the 60s right up till pretty new. Mostly I use, like, when I'm playing with Maze or the Frequency, or most gigs actually, I have a digital Hammond organ.
Okay.
Because Hammond's my favorite sound, always will be.
Yeah.
I've got a couple Leslies and a couple full size, like a B3, a BV. I've got all the old ones, but I had to take the door off my place to get the B3 in, so it's not leaving. But I use a digital Hammond, and I use a King Korg model, like digital modeling synth. But I always like to run them through a big guitar amp just to get a little bit of realism. So I always use a Fender Twin Reverb for the most part. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you a story about that. So the gentleman that does sound for us in Golan's, his name's Martin. Martin, good to see you, buddy. Anyway, we use buds. And so Kyle and Leith were set up on one side of the stage, and Ryan and I were on the other side of the stage. And so anyway, I went to Martin between the brick. I said, is there any way you could turn the guitar and the keyboards down? And he's like, and I'm like, why not? He goes, you're getting that out of the vocal mics, bud. That's not even it. And I was like, right on, right? And it was like, you could hear it like amazing. And not overbearing, but it was just kind of like, it was just so cool.
It's just funny that it's self-mixed through the vocal mic.
Well, and it effing rocks. I mean, it's like, I set up probably 2 feet from you, and it's like, you know, you get the old earth shaker in your friggin' arse when you're playing because you feel it.
It's funny because playing with Kyle at Dolan's especially, I'm always standing in front of his amp.
Right.
So then my amp's off to the side, so then I have to crank mine up to hear it. But, you know, that's, you know, again, the Matt Mays method, you know, it just adds something to have a little bit of grit and dirt for keyboards, because it's like you can run keyboards direct, but for me, in a rock setting at least, it's nice to have a little bit of fuzz and crunch, you know.
Well, then you got to talk about the other toy that you bring, because that's awesome when you bring that puppy out. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the keytar.
The keytar. Okay,
well, man, it's so that I bought it right at the beginning of Matt's tour in the fall, and it's just a MIDI controller, so I can hook it up to whatever keyboard I want. But it's so much fun because all of a sudden I'm able to dance around. You know, it's like I can find, because I love dancing and moving. Like that's me, you know.
That's
so
awesome.
To finally be able to do. Oh, thanks. Well, to do that, you know, and play, it's just fun because, you know, guitar players always have that. And for me, it's just nice to be able to step out. It's funny because I don't have the keytar up here, but I had an idea. I really am wanting to work on my own music when we're able to get back to it. And I have so I have a Steinberger guitar, you know, the old school headless thing. But the keytar is just the perfect size that I want to mount the two of them together and make a double neck, but it's a keytar and a guitar.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
So it's like, oh, it would be fun, you know. It's like a couple people online have done it, but not, you know, the way that I'm thinking about doing it, it would be pretty slick, I think. But because the keytar, I mean, that's you know, Sean, you can attest to this. Like, I'm always having a lot of fun when I have that out.
It's awesome. And if you Google Leith Fleming-Smith, there's a great picture that comes up. I'll call it the famous Leith picture. You're playing that thing. You got no shirt on. You're wearing a rocker. It's
I'll tell you the story about that picture.
About, right?
So that keytar, I improvised. I basically took a MIDI controller and some double-sided industrial Velcro, and I just kind of improvised a strap. And that was a Maze gig, and we were playing at Olympic Hall, and it was so hot. I, for some reason, had the jacket on all gig, and I played with Adam earlier as well, that same gig, so I was really warm. And Matt did a song or two by himself, and I was backstage, and I was like, guys, it's too hot. I got to take the jacket off. And Matt Tovett, Adam's drummer, was like, no, man, take the shirt off, leave the jacket on.
Yes.
So and then I walked back out, you know, shirtless. You know, a lot of people like, woo! And then the keytar moment, you know, I ended up going out for a solo, and the keytar pulled the jacket away so that, you know, the chest shot.
It's a killer shot.
Keyboard players could never look cool back in my day. This is, you know, I switched from keyboards to straight discs. But now you pulled it off, man. You pulled it off as if you look cool doing it. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
You did. And I also have to say, I was going to say, Leith and I were talking about a secret project. We've been talking about it now since November. And we can't say what it is, but we will say that it's going to come out, and it's going to be, hey, Leith, it's going to be, we'll call it athletic and industrial and all kinds of fun like that, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I
can't wait.
Along the lines of that picture, I don't know if you remember, we were playing at Dolan's one night, and there was a dude that he either had a Matt Mays shirt or he had some shirt that he saw you. Do you remember that? It was
yeah, he had a Mays shirt on.
And he came right up to you and he said, I knew that you were playing with these guys. And I just remember he went over and he talked to you, and it was really cool because it was like, he was just like, he came up to me and he goes, can I go talk to Leith? And I'm like, Leith's one of the nicest fucking guys I know. Absolutely. Like, he won't get it. And you were just like, yeah, man, you know, buddy bought you a drink, and it was really cool. Because he had seen you play, I think, Fredericton, maybe with Adam or something.
Well, I would have, at that point, I think I would have just come through with with Maze like a month earlier or 2 months earlier.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
My producer's giving
Yeah,
me
that
the
was
2-minute mark, guys, so we're gonna wrap her up, I guess. My producer.
Oh, okay.
I.e., I gotta run out of time. My programs, what it means.
Oh, that's all groovy.
Listen, I
Well,
just want
I gotta say, this has been a blast. I mean, Leith and I and Kyle and Ryan and Michael Lloyd last we try to do it every Sunday night way, just get together and video hang, and it's been a lot of fun. But it's cool to talk to Leith because these are stories he and I talk about all the time, and to be able to share them, A, it's cool, and B, the other thing is, I mean, he's kind of bridging the old with the new, and that's something that actually at least people would ask for. They wanted to bridge the old with the new, and Bud, you're doing it for us.
You,
so thanks, brother.
Guys. No, it was so great to be able to chat about all the groovy musical stuff.
Get back out and play again, man. It's gonna be a blast.
So where can people looking for
wait.
you now, Leith? Where can people see you now?
Yeah.
They want to do a little research on Leith Fleming-Smith. I mean, do you have your own website, or do you have?
What's that? Sorry, Dave.
I know my internet's a little bit wonky here tonight. Do you have like a website or anything?
Oh, you know what? I don't have a website at the moment. Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram at. Sorry, you went garbled a little bit for a sec, so I think I know what you were saying. But were you asking about like?
How can people find you?
Yeah. So I have. I don't have a website, but I have like an Instagram. Leith FS. And I always try to, post stuff about music or about, a cat that I found on a walk. It's like not, a little bit of everything. But and if you want to reach out, I'm on Facebook and stuff like that. Or when this is all over, if you see me at a bar, come say hi.
Hey, good to see you, Leith.
Well, from all of us, we want to say thanks for coming on the show, and we appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you. This is new to me. Like I said, the whole concept of multi-bands and the gear. I dabble with keyboards, but I mean 36 keyboards and the MIDI and going to NAMM. That's some cool stuff, man. That's some cool shit right there. So good on you, Leith.
Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, boys.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Peace out.
All right. See you guys later.
Peace.